Hey guys, what's cracking? Godsman here, coming at you with not a Vanguard video? Yeah, surprise, surprise. So, I've been getting into this card game and anime called Build Divide. Now, if y'all haven't heard of it, I'm not surprised. It's basically a OCG exclusive right now. It doesn't have a localization, and it just had its season 2 end, so it's not the most popular thing overseas. It's more popular in Japan, but I've been really getting into it. And I'm not the only one, because today I got my boy Hiseki here. Introduce yourself.
What's up?
Hiseki here does Shadowverse content on his YouTube. He's a small fry, but so am I. So we thought, hey, why not collab on this? Because we both like the anime.
Sure.
He's pretty freaking knowledgeable at TCGs. He's been doing it for years, just like I am. So it's like he's about as much authority as I am. So yeah, we love Hiseki here. So yeah,
Bro, I love you too.
Alright, so that's basically it for like the introduction. They see the thumbnail, they see everything, so let's just get right into it. So I kind of did it more or less in chronological order, based on like when we see these characters appear. This may not be entirely like accurate that way, but F it, like who really cares at the end of the day? So we got Teruto. Now we're just starting out with a banger, right? Like I personally think Teruto is like, I mean, he's just the amazing dude. Like Teruto is so awesome.
First, let me just ask. Are we doing this based off of both seasons?
Oh, definitely. So essentially, yeah, like cumulatively speaking, and that's actually gonna like help or perhaps hurt some characters. No spoilers, but freaking, even though this is totally spoilers. Yeah, I mean, this is all spoilers. Guys, watch the anime.
I mean, yeah, it basically is all spoilers. We're going to be talking about the whole anime.
Yeah. So yeah, Teruto, cumulatively speaking, that may help or hinder him. Like what do you think? Where would you put him?
Personally, I believe he is like actually he's really good, but he's also really awesome. So I kind of think he falls in between. But either one kind of makes sense. I just dislike what they did towards the end and never explained what that power he had.
Yeah, and like why the frick is he the one like doing the like he's been like asleep basically the entire season, and then suddenly like he just like pops up, hooks in some
he comes out having like the same power that Naruto had. But like nobody ever explained what it was. He never did. Nobody questioned it. None of his friends questioned it. Higuma didn't even question it. Everybody's like, "Yep, that's Teruto. He's doing that, bro."
He's like, "Yep, just get third new territory." Has this weird like freaky eye thing going on. And he's just like, "Okay, we'll like let's just go on to like this ending." That's just it felt kind of rushed. Not gonna lie, but like I feel like I don't want to like hold it against Teruto's character because it feels like the writers just kind of like forced it on him. Because like aside from that, he's like he low-key is pretty awesome. You know, like putting him up here, right? Because like the whole thing, like when you look at the stereotypical like card game like protagonist, right? Like they're usually like fiery, hot-headed, they're go-getters, they want to like and be like, I don't know, like Naruto and be like ninja president or something. But
the edgy boy.
Yeah, he's different, right? Like don't get me wrong, there's some stereotypes like, oh yes, he's edgy, and oh yes, amnesia, never heard of that before. But like let's not knock on him for there because he is pretty cool in the sense that he is totally willing to like take the risk, but he doesn't take the risk in like sort of the optimistic way. He takes the risk in the I know I'm going to like lose and effing die essentially if I lose his gamble.
Yeah, he has the confidence, but he also just doesn't care.
Yeah,
'cause he's like, I'm willing to put everything on the line for my goal.
and
you can quote his line here.
Yes, I mean basically Teruto's #1 line. I mean I use this mistake, fellas, but best quote from Teruto is, "If you cannot put your soul on the line, then you have no future."
There hasn't been a single day where I haven't heard this come out of his mouth.
It's the best goddamn quote, dude. I mean, it's like
it happens at every card game, in every situation.
Bro, it's toxic. It like spreads like the wildfire too, man. Like some of the other dudes that we like play with in our playgroup, they do it too, man. So like Teruto, he's awesome, you know. Like once you just accept what his character is, he's so good at it. So I don't know. I think this is probably a proper placement. But as the things develop, we might like push him down a really good.
No, I think he deserves to be awesome there because I did like his character development the most. because originally he wasn't edgy, of course. He wasn't born edgy. He was the happy-go-lucky, like, card-playing, kid, until, all the crap that happened, and his, loved ones. So, the reason why he took upon this path to be edgy is due to his goal.
Yeah, so like even then it's like he's not even just being edgy for like edgy's sake, which I'm starting to like say that word so much it's losing like all definition in my mind. It's becoming numb. But yeah, there's a reason for this. And it's cool as well that at the end when all this is over, right, we get the epilogue, he does seem to like, he's still sort of like antisocial, but he's lighting up. Like he's clearly lighting up, and that's totally makes sense with his character. So yeah, he's just awesome. But we ain't just gonna make this the Teruto wank fest for like 24/7. Let's get on to like 12 other characters here. So right. Sakura is a tough one for me because at first I would have put her like right up here, right? But then like they do so many shenanigans to their character that I'm like, is she like just right around here? Like you're more of a Sakura like person than I am personally, so I want to hear your opinion on this one.
I do like Sakura, but personally not as much as Kikka. But we'll get over to Kikka another soon. But Sakura's position in like just her as a character is very very complex.
it's perhaps
there isn't really like much of an archetype that you can compare her to besides few tropes, but she also has like had only some screen time that showed some of her development. Aside from that, we look at her from like season 2 instead of season 1. She's been pretty elusive in my opinion. I don't think she wasn't the type to really talk about herself as much. So I guess that was a little bit of a difficulty to grasp her character. So I would say she's in the good section.
All right, we're good. Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. Like she is good. There are some aspects about her character that I do appreciate, like the idea that she was willing to bet on Teruto, and she, for better or for worse, she has maintained that. Although there was kind of a slap in the face when she just runs off and like fights Kikka, but we're not gonna talk.
Yeah, that was kind of like. Look, I understand that she had her own goals as well, but as like morals, man, that was a.
That was a stab in the kidney. That was pretty bad.
That was bad, bro.
Yeah, like
can't believe you done this.
Yeah, it is pretty bad, but you can tell like she clearly like regrets it and did it more of a I have to do this than I want to do this. So there is like a tragedy to it all, and she does basically lose her life for a while until near the end. She basically loses her life for this. So there is a dedication element that I like. She also has like some pretty good fights. She's not only presented as being like this really like high tier combatant and whatnot, but her fights are at least pretty entertaining. Playing against Teruto, who basically has the best fights in the series, just like hands down. Then the Kikka fight is really good as well. So whenever she like has like a fight, like you're in for like something like kind of good, but it's not like she's the stage one. Like she's not the one where you put the spotlight on in any given episode. So she's kind of in the middle. I
will say she was still relevant throughout the entire show.
That is true.
Because not only did it affect the main protagonist, it affected a lot of different characters. So she had a pretty good impact in the entire show. If she wasn't there, it would be a pretty big issue.
Yeah, if she like wasn't like in for like the other seasons and whatnot, she probably could have even been approaching meh, in all honesty, just because of how like they would have dusted her. But no, they at least like paid respect to it and how she was like helping Hiyoko along the way. So yeah, good seems pretty good for her.
Yeah, she deserves that spot. That's pretty reasonable.
Well, all right, thumbs up, my girl. So Higuma, it's okay. I like this facial expression because all the other faces like smiling or they're like ooh, but he's just like, where's my coffee?
I mean, it's those years catching up to him, bro.
Yeah, clearly. No, we're actually going to talk about that because he's such a weird character in this backstory. I personally think he's just mad, but like, where do you stand?
I think in between good and meh. I did kind of like overall. Well, once we know his past, then I started liking him a bit more, just because of like the reason why he started focusing on build divide and the environment of the world. I thought it was an interesting world concept of why he decided to, you know, his purpose behind doing all this. Like, why are we making all these people suffer? Well, trying to save them. But then he kind of forgot about it. Well,
yeah, like, okay, his character is so wild because at first, like, straight from the first episode, right? Because I recently rewatched the series just like to get caught up on like what my impressions of all these characters are. And in the first episode, Higuma is low-key pretty cool, right? Because he's just standing there, he's smiling ominously. You could tell that he's a man with a plan, right? And he's got this all figured out already. And there's this badass tournament coming. You got this thing called the King. It's like, all right, so he's got like the mysterious air, as we'll call it, right? So there's the mystery, and the mystery is gonna like hold him up as a character, because as we go throughout the episodes, he's still just kind of like going around. He does things, right? He's just like, yeah. Ishinome, what the hell are you doing? I'm your boss. You're like, oh, okay, you're the boss of him. Okay. Goes up to the king. He's like, no, you're staying here because I need you for stuff. It's like, oh, okay. And then season 1 rolls around, right? Like the end of it, and it turns out he wants a vessel for Teruto, and I'm like, okay, you know what? That actually is not a bad twist. Like, I can understand where he's going with this. It's like, you want the best, like, if Build Divide has this magical element, quote unquote, as he calls it, and whoever has the most, like, potency, or just is the, like, has the most magical potential, is, like, most fit to be his vessel, I get that. Like, it's not exactly the most, complex or interesting of motives, but it's a motives that feels very believable. Like this, like making a tournament for everything, like it does explain itself. So I'm like, okay. And if it was for just that, I would have put Higuma like in good, maybe even like really good if his backstory wasn't so whack and we actually got a backstory that felt okay. But then
I think,
sorry, go on.
Yeah, the backstory, well, being towards the end, was a weird direction. I can agree with that, but I also think it was technically a good option at the same time, because they did a great job at keeping his motives and his, like, you know, reasonings a mystery.
Yeah, because even when season 2 rolls around, it's like he's still doing stuff. It's like, wait.
Yeah, he's still doing stuff. Nobody understands why he's doing it, but we still have to deal with this jerk.
and I just remember, like, and I remember, like, this is like one moment, like in the middle of the season, where like he just like crashes into the cafe, and he's like,
that was
hey,
my favorite part. He literally just showed up while they were discussing plans to raid his place, and he was like, "Hey, how's it going? I'm just gonna beat you guys up right here, just to send a message."
It's like, allow me to reintroduce myself real quick, and then it's like Ishinome's, "Hey, bro, I just want to chill out for a while." And, you know, Ishinome's like also got like the mystery about him. We're gonna talk about him next, but like, freaking Ishinome like is kind of a cool character. He's like, oh, this guy could actually be like the real shizzy. He's like, no, be my key. Just like negs him and makes him like his key real away. I'm like,
I think damn. Ishinome is above Higuma. But yeah.
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about Ishinome in a second. This guy's way better. But freaking yeah. Here's the thing about Higuma too. Like, his backstory was actually really nice when it comes to like explaining why there was basically nothing in the real world. Like, there's this whole natural disaster things, like, okay, what the frick? But then, and he wants to save everyone. There's this thing called will, and I'm like, this is really nice. But then, for no reason, you've already mentioned no reason. I really wanted to make this clear. There, like, when I was watching dead ass frame to frame, he went, I want to save everyone, to I do not care anymore. What happened?
We don't know what happened in between, and they didn't explain it, but my only assumption is it's been a long time and he simply just forgot. He changed his priorities after realizing the potential power of Build Divide.
I mean, I guess, I'm like, did he lose a loved one? Nah, did he like go crazy over time?
But other than that, there isn't really much info. Yeah.
Right, yeah, like, did he just lose his coffee one day and decided to, like, choose violence? I don't know. So, yeah, and that plus, like, the will stuff and, like, the bombastic value. So he's really random, he's really meh, but, like, I guess we could also put him at bottom of good, because, like, there is, like, a lot of good stuff. It's just that the delivery at the end, like, it felt like they went too far with it. Like, they also didn't need to make him, like, used to use Bloom. That felt a little weird. Like, yeah, that also felt a little bit weird, but I guess some people can interpret it as cool. So I'll just put it at the bottom of good, but I'll tell you guys, he's really close to being a meh character. Like, I just want to bring that up.
It is mainly his creation of the world for Build Divide that is bolstering up to be good.
Yeah.
Because him just as a character is like, it's pretty whatever.
Also, I just want to say that in spite of everything else, his fights are actually really good. Like, I will say, like, I do appreciate when a character
he is a good Build Divide player.
Yeah, it's like, he plays Sadawa Sul, which to this day I haven't, like, figured out a way to beat IRL. And then he goes on and does Odeophilia, which is just the GOAT in terms of aces. So I'm like, his fights are entertaining. He's a really good player. So, you know what? Yeah, I guess he does deserve to be, like, in good. So, Ishinome. Is he top of good or really good? Because I think it might be really good.
I think he's really good, but at the low end, really good. Just because he didn't really contribute too much, but he was a good factor for like a lot of characters. And also just himself. Like himself being a mystery. And we didn't even know if he was human for a while. And my guess was correct that he wasn't human. I had this speculation when I was watching with Godsman over here. We were watching Build Divide together, at least the second season, every time a new episode came out. And with every episode, we would get answers to our questions, but also new questions. So it was just a loop until we got to the very end. But then again, we still had some questions, but it was all right. Overall, it was a good show. But for Ishinome, my speculations of him being not human was correct. And I kind of deducted this because of the way he spoke and his behavior. He didn't feel like he had much of like his compassion and his priorities kind of jank.
He also looked kind of like, jank, not gonna lie.
Yeah, that too. It looked like he was just following what he found amusing, right? Which I guess could also be reasonable. So, people are bored. But to understand his motive of why and how this came to be, we couldn't really catch that until season 2, right? When it explained his past with Higuma. And I think that was a great thing, because we finally got our answer for Ishinome.
Yeah, and him being Will is, like, it's fine, like, if we accept Will as a concept, then, like, it is okay, because it's like, okay, he is really otherworldly, and I just want to say, this guy is, like, low-key a foreshadowing machine, because when you, like, actually listen to him speak, like, not reading the English subtitles I was doing, but also just listening to him speak, he kind of gives out some stuff kind of early. Like, in the first fight between Teruto and Kikka, right? Like, he actually says straight up Imoto. Like, without, and it doesn't translate like, oh yeah, like sister or whatever. He was saying something else, but he just says that name. Like, wait, this is Teruto's sister? And then later he's like referring to like humans as like ningen and whatever. I'm like,
Yeah, every time he spoke as if he wasn't human himself. Like, he would refer to humans as humans. He wouldn't just, call those kids in general. It's just humans.
Right, yeah. So it's like when you just actually listen to him speak, it's like, and I don't even know Japanese like hardly at all, dude. Like you're like getting there, and like it's even a struggle for you. But it's not like, man, I can't even say anything. But yeah, just listening, I'm like, okay, so he's got a lot going on here. And can I just say, Dad Ishinome is really nice. Just
I see him
laundry.
more as like the weird uncle. But yeah, sure.
Yeah, like he's good. I kind of wish he would have fought, but I think
Got
the
a real
family did.
friend at least.
Yeah, you know, like he got a friend, even though he kind of had to become this weird, like, what was it, like a panda or something? It was what? That was
I
so
don't know.
random.
I think it was because he felt kind of weird in staying in his his form that everybody already kind of knew. And it would kind of make things awkward later on in the series, or at least the aftermath of what happened. So, in order for people not to question it, and just for only his friend to know, I guess, he had to change his form.
Yeah, yeah, and it's cool that it was ended up like being Sakura because they did know each other for like a while. It seemed like so, and you know they're both like not really quite like human in some ways. So that
Yeah, that's
that was
one
a good
thing they have
relationship.
going with each other. They're both not meant to be there, but they're there.
Yeah, which I guess is their reasoning for why Sakura didn't just go and say hi to her friends.
Oh yeah, I don't understand why they didn't just say hi when they're like still there.
It was a
But
happy ending.
I guess that was a weird direction, but at least we as the viewers know they're not gone.
It's like, man, just like go and say hi to Teruto, man. You know you owe it to him, man. You two had a thing going on.
Nah, they're just leaving it for Hiyori and Kikka to have a cat fight over Teruto.
Bro, oh god, dude. Freaking, if that's the case, I don't know. Give it to Hiyori. Speaking of which, she's up next. So, okay. I'm not sure if this is what you would call a hot take, but I personally think she's awesome. And this is entirely because of season 2. Season 1 would have been like this, maybe this, but season 2 is the biggest transformation of like a character in this series I've like seen. Like it's so insane, like this how jacked she gets as a character. Like before I just start fangirling, I just want to see like how, to what extent do you agree with this sentiment? Like where would you have put her?
Oh no, I absolutely agree. If we're speaking of her growth from season 1 to season 2, then yeah, it was one of the biggest character growths I've seen for this series. So she does deserve that spot, and also for her last fight. I think overall she has come a long way. So, and from season 1, I'm pretty sure a lot of viewers did not have faith in her ability as a duelist.
I mean, her first game was literally like more of like a joke. It was more of like a cautionary tale of who not to be like when playing.
I do like the small gag of whoever designed her character, and they put her last name as Mune Nashi, which literally, if you put together in Japanese, if you separate Mune and Nashi, Mune means chest, and Nashi means like something is gone or like it's not existing.
No chest.
Literally, it just says she has no chest or bust, and that holds true because she is flat, and the series has made that pretty evident.
I mean, flat
they have made it a
bro.
small gag, especially during the beach episode.
Oh yeah, we get like the One-san teacher or whatever freaking popping up, and she's got like the double D's.
I actually didn't catch the pun with her last name until the beach episode, where somebody said her full name whilst comparing her to the teacher who just has big bazongas.
Yeah, seriously, that really freaking funny. And actually, like in terms of like naming schemes, I do like the whole Hiyoko name and whatnot, how the episode where she's introduced is like lonely baby bird and whatnot. So I'm like, okay, so clearly her name is very intentional. Freaking there's a lot going on with like her name, and like just how when like at the start of season 2, like she is actually like alone again, and she has to like get her like rise up from the dust again, and like she does it with like her sensei's teachings, and like, oh my god, dude, that's so good. Like
I think it
so
was a small turn off for me though, was her trying to be the comedic relief character in season 1. I was like, I understand why, but at the same time, I don't like it.
I mean, she had the comedy factor of a 5-year-old screaming stuff he found online on the internet in the playground.
Yeah, I think it's mainly for the targeted viewer of somebody who is either new to card games or a kid.
Basically a kid, yeah. And it is cool though, because like when you just look at this, like literally it's just child, right? This non-factor child on the battlefield, she's like more prone to being a hostage than anything. Like just becoming this complete like badass. Like it's so cool. Like, don't get me wrong, it's sad that she don't use Doug anymore, because I kind of like Doug, but Tal Hedora was a great trade-off. Like there's a lot of like symbolism there with it. Okay, so you earlier mentioned like the bust size and the whole like, oh, you know, like flat. So segueing a bit into the romance thing, my favorite gag with her is with Mikhail here, which we'll get into in like a while, but that's just funny. Just like kneels and she's like, no, I want like the Sakura tattooed samurai as like my boyfriend or whatever. I'm like, bro. What? But I was like, no, look at this chat. And then like later on, he just comes back and he's like, hey, I have like, she literally verbatim in like after like the first fight he had was like, you should have like 47 like friends, you know, because I want a guy with lots of friends. And then he has 47 exactly. He's like, you like that kind of thing, right?
He kept to his word.
Yeah, I mean. And she got the expression on her goddamn face when she got checkmated with her own goddamn words was priceless, amazing. Yeah, but I guess also that like just led to her like being the O sensei or whatever, just like, or no, Dai sensei it was, and just being like kind of what Teruto was, like being that role model, being that leader figure, being like that pillar of strength. And like, can I just say, on like a certain character we'll get to later, she actually has her climactic final fight and wins it and does it well. So yeah, really just like she could like, okay, here's the real question, is she above Teruto?
That's debatable.
Really debatable, because there's like, we like him for kind of similar reasons. Like her transformation is better than his, but I think he's just so like, he's cooler. He's just so much cooler.
I mean, he never escaped our minds, even throughout season 2, where at first it was focusing on Hiyoko and Kikka. Like we were always questioning, so where's Teruto, bro? What's happening?
Yeah, I mean, my bias ass like plays like Bloom all the goddamn time. He's my favorite character ever, so I'm like, where is he? Every episode, I'm like, okay, but Teruto though?
He was the first impression, and he did a really good first impression for bringing people into the series. So, I think he holds over Hiyoko because of that.
Okay, you know what? Yeah, that's
also because Hiyoko would have not had that growth if it wasn't for him.
Oh,
there you go.
Okay, facts and
he
logic.
Didn't exist, and Hiyoko would remain the same. She wouldn't have the will to fight over for like 3 years by herself.
Ah, debunked. Yeah, sorry, you're below. I'm sorry.
I know the term where the student surpasses the master, but in this case, that didn't happen.
I mean, hell, even like
she fought a possessed Teruto, all right, and she didn't let him expand.
Yeah, not only is she the greatest meme ever, right? But not only that, like, we just have to keep in mind that she's like, out of the words of the wolf and like herself, she says, "You're not like you're just borrowing his strength. You're not taking the risk. You're not playing as he would have played." I'm like, okay, so yeah, you're and literally she needed help. She had help from Sakura to like win that. Yeah, judge coaching. Yeah, but still, yeah, she's just awesome. Okay, so Naomitsu is like clearly going to be pretty high up. Like, is he awesome?
I think Naomitsu made it up to really good.
Yeah,
we finally got answers to his past, and then like towards the end, it was a good conclusion for him. I like where they concluded with him, even though I understand that his motives were like something of difficulty for him to choose, because he was constantly not only fighting with his inner self, but he was technically fighting against him, like multiple copies of himself.
Psychological
and that, oh, I forgot to mention, even though it's not in the genre of this series, there's a lot of psychological like horror for these characters.
Seriously.
I was just like, man, everybody here is like going through what is happening?
But that being like Naomitsu and like Kikka here, they just like face like their past selves, and they're like, "You're dirt, you're garbage. You shouldn't have like come out of the womb. You should go kill yourself." I'm like, what? And they're showing like traumatic flashbacks of like all their like wrongdoings and like burning buildings. Like, what?
Maybe a trope, but still, this was unexpected for just a card game. I wasn't expecting the characters to go through a mental breakdown.
Yeah, like the genres are low-key kind of whack here, because like we just look up at like genres and they just say fantasy. I'm like, really?
Fantasy or game? That's it.
It did not even say sci-fi. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
it didn't even
come
say
on.
sci-fi, even though the whole thing is a virtual world.
Yeah, it's super futuristic. Basically, every unit you look at, except maybe, I don't know, Lionel or the goddamn leopard who should not be
Whatever
named.
is like actually fantasy based, which the fantasy genre makes sense, and I guess the whole thing about it being in another, environment is fantasy-ish, but it's more of sci-fi over fantasy in my opinion.
Mm-hmm, definitely. And like
Because
also, yeah.
the virtual world didn't exist before. There was a world, just like any other, but they still had build divide. Weirdly enough,
Yep.
that kind of tripped me out. I thought build divide didn't exist until Higuma started to focus on it, but it actually existed before it.
Which I guess kind of makes sense, because even though he is presented to be like this kind of like sciencey type guy, he isn't like that brilliant per se.
I thought he was the creator of build divide.
Yeah, I kind of thought so too, but I can see where like when he wasn't, I'm like, yeah, somehow that kind of like makes sense, but
they didn't really explain that factor, but it makes somewhat sense. And to be honest, it didn't really turn me off of the show entirely.
Yeah, it's like a nitpicky little detail where it's like, well, actually, that just doesn't really change anything at the end of the day. Naomitsu, bro. Also, I just want to say, like, he doesn't get like hardly any fights, but the one fight then, like, and also this leopard mother effer, I swear, this oh my god. Okay, so I need to riff a little bit about Naomitsu and aces. So this dude, to nobody's surprise, who's actually watched the series, if you haven't, then I don't know what to tell you. You've been spoiled so much.
I don't know how you remained watching this.
Yeah, like if
you don't want to get spoiled.
Yeah, like if you're here, it means that you're not gonna watch the series, which like F in the chat, but still, okay, glad to have you. So anyway, so now Naomitsu, right? This guy has like Lionel, which is like the really, really awesome ace, like metal as hell, and like has a really, really good fight with Teruto. But then in season 2, he gets brainwashed, puts on like this weird like I'm going to go monster hunting gear, and then proceeds to play this leopard, which I don't even like. I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't want to pronounce it. But this leopard is just
name, bro.
Yeah, I think it was something like an part of my French here, Lepardus, I think it was, or Lepariadus.
I don't know. I think it was trying to be like a mix of Leonidas, but also as a leopard.
Which, yeah, sure, that's about
Didn't
as like.
Turn out that well.
I mean, it's about
also,
as
his
unoriginal
territory
as
is kind of goofy.
His territory is literally like unlimited furry works. Like, come on, dude. It's just a bunch of swords on the battlefield, but they've got like furry statues in the background. That's just what it is. That's literally all it is.
Persona Shiro Emiya?
Shiro Emiya, but like his cultured reality marble.
Oh man.
This is his off-brand marble. But yeah, so his ace sucks, and he doesn't like really. Here's the thing: his backstory is epic in season 2, but he doesn't really do anything in season 2. He just like gets beat like all the time. The only thing he wins in season 2 is his own
quite
self.
a lot.
Yeah, he gets beat up quite a lot.
He's just a punching bag for most of like the crap that happens.
Yeah.
But at least he still had the resolve to keep going and supporting his friends along. So I did like that. Like, he has tenacity.
Yeah, like, here's the thing. The only reason why he's not awesome, in my opinion, is because they didn't, like, actually do enough with him. Like, his stories are really good, but they didn't give him enough fights, and I feel like he wasn't as important as he should be. If he was more important and did more, would have been awesome. I would have actually, like, I would have liked him so much.
He was really important, especially for the future of Build the Body.
Okay, that is true. His epilogue is like perhaps the most telling of like any characters.
Yeah, he took Higuma's work, and he's going to, I guess, improve upon it, or at least try to do something with, the work that he left behind because he forgot about his initial, objective.
Guys, I got it. Season 3 confirmed. It's going to be Build Divide Code Red. Naomitsu's the villain. Same path as Higuma. Let's go. 2024.
What if he isn't the villain? What if he's actually just trying to go along this path, and then, more wills of Build Divide try to stop him?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Like, who even knows about Will at this point? It's still, like, otherworldly.
There's too many questions still, but overall, it's still a good show. If they have a season 3, I'd still watch it.
Oh, I would watch it. If for another reason, the fact that like the fights are always like so good and like it's eye candy. It's just eye candy and like ear candy. So I mean, hell, man. If for
sound design
else.
is great. I like the sound effects. Oh, and the music too. The OST is also pretty good.
Yeah, you can't get it on YouTube though in China. Wait for it. I know it's.
Well, yeah, you don't want to get DMCA'd.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Freaking Lord knows.
But it is, some of the music is available on YouTube. If you want to look at like the opening or ending, that's available. But for like the background music during the shows, yeah, you're gonna have to do some digging for that.
Yeah, no kidding.
I do like mainly Teruto's or Bloom's theme.
Yeah, like
that is always like a very otherworldly sound, or not sound, but song in my opinion, that makes the impact of his entire deck or his plays just feel different, compared to every other Build Divide player. I think it had the most impact.
Just way out there. So speaking of like impact and Build Divide characters, I want to put Rinpu in meh.
I think she's meh.
Yeah,
it's really like season 1. You really don't care as much because it's just a servant for season 1. She didn't really do anything in season 1, basically. She only just assisted Higuma, like a puppet. But in season 2, she finally started getting some more screen time, which I was surprised about. And then after, I actually didn't know she was also brainwashed. I just thought she was just following orders because that was her job. But after that fight, that 2v2 we witnessed with Kikka and Hiyoko with Naomitsu and Rinpu, I did not expect that Rinpu was actually as how she is. How do I explain her character? There's not much to her, but she does have the compassion. I can feel that she cares about Kikka more than like just her job, because she still cared about Kikka after she wasn't king anymore. Like the first thing she did when she broke out of brainwash, I think I remember, it's that she started asking if Kikka was okay. Like she wasn't caring about her own well-being, she was worried about Kikka, even though it wasn't her job anymore because she got laid off by Higuma. But aside from that, she didn't really contribute too much. Her character was kind of just there. And weirdly enough, her elder sister is also in the series, which we didn't get any screen time in season 1 at all either until season 2. But I think she does deserve being in meh. The only thing I would think is if somebody liked her. I mean, I do like her, but she wouldn't go over like my opinion of other characters.
Yeah, like bro, she's not Sakura. Like
no.
And if Sakura is here, yeah, come on. Like what kind of cap is this?
Think of like Rem but watered down. Her from Ray Zero, but really watered down.
Now that's a comparison.
Because she is still the servant-ish type. She was even serving, Naomitsu towards the end to help his goal.
Yeah.
Which is a weird reflection because that she was doing the same thing with Higuma, and Higuma is technically Naomitsu's father.
Yeah, and you could tell there's supposed to be an implied thing between Naomitsu and Rinpu, but it never really goes anywhere because most of the time they're not even really together, So we don't get a lot of development on that front. Nor do we really get a lot of development about Rinpu as a character to the point because you mentioned before it's you didn't even know she was brainwashed and the reason why you didn't know or I didn't know either is because we never received anything about her character that would contradict her just doing orders. That's how
it's
little.
Imagine if we saw Ishinome, but only for the times that he spoke with Higuma, and that was it.
Yeah, you would get
that
nothing.
was it, and we didn't get anything else of the scenes where he's just by himself talking to himself, or his interactions with other characters. Then would be a harder time deducing his character.
Yeah, seriously, his character is so good because he's willing to put himself out there and be the wild card that is always interesting. So yeah,
I think my favorite scene with Ishinome, though, going back to Ishinome, just a slight tangent, was him giving psychological horror to Teruto.
Oh my god, that's your favorite?
I think it's just so funny that it's just a random dude. He shows up in front of Teruto when he's sulking and everything. He's all right, let me just give you a little a little traumatic experience about your past real quick. Let me just
that'll cheer you up. That'll give you a
kick.
That'll give you a kick in the nuts.
He literally showed him everything that he didn't want to remember at first, but then he was like, I have to remember it because, that's what I did. And now I understand that I can't run away from it. I have to go this path. And I was like, good. See, that's another thing that makes Ishinome another great character is because he also influenced Teruto to keep going.
Right. Yeah, another element of that. It segues in my favorite moment with them because since we're in this tangent, let's just commit to it. Right when after Sakura does that to Teruto at the end of season 1, freaking Teruto is of course wanting to go into the King's Tower, but he doesn't have the key, so he's using cursed trump card. My favorite shot, clearly.
Love that card.
Yeah, of course you do. So freaking, he's using cursed trump card to open this door, and it's not working because of course it wouldn't work. And Ishino's hey man, you want to come in? I'm like, oh wow, okay, cool. This is him just being a bro again. But he's now who do you want to save though? Are you coming in for Kikka or are you coming in for Sakura? I'm like, oh, he's asking the real questions. He's okay.
He is asking the real questions. I think, he is definitely one of the most interesting characters.
Yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
A great.
Anyways, Rinpu
time.
is indeed meh.
Okay, enough of Rinpu. You're meh, girl. It's
all right. Kikka, my girl.
How do we talk about this? You take it because this is your character.
All right. So initially, season 1, I actually liked her more than Teruto. Just because the way that they introduced her and the way that they showed her prowess in Build Divide was charming in a way. I still remember from the first fight when Teruto was still trying to grasp who the king was, and then she just shows up to just beat him up.
She just bullies him. She straight up comes why'd you come back here? You're not as good as you were before. I'm just
I'm like, well, she didn't have to do it to him. He's already dead.
Yeah, she literally says this is always my favorite moment, figuring out how to crush you.
You read him like a book, bro. It was so funny, but also interesting because it also displayed not only her character, but also Teruto's character. Because it was from this fight, the first fight that they had, technically, in the show. That was Teruto's first loss throughout the entire series.
Right.
And I think the deduction we both can make is that he not only was facing his traumatic past again when he started putting the pieces together, but he also like lost his confidence. Like he hesitated as more turns kept going, right? And I think it was because he didn't gamble. There was no gamble being made throughout this entire fight. It was literally just Kikka picking a fight with him just because she was bored. She wanted to see him, and he couldn't gamble, which was automatically just a power scaling down for him. So he got deep.
Yeah, and like also he didn't have any he didn't have any stakes, so it's like like you can lose, and the moment like your protagonist seems reasonable, like they can lose, you gotta start sweating. It's like you're like
it's like I feel like I shouldn't be losing here, but at the same time there's no like actual stakes being made besides just Kikka crushing his spirit, which she successfully did.
Oh, she did it so well too. Like literally, Ishinome had to go and like fight fire with fire by showing him his entire traumatic ass past just to like get him back up to speed with things.
And now, I'm just gonna put my preferences aside. Yeah, I think she was a great character, mainly because not only of her mysterious introduction and first impression, right? She definitely made an impact of her appearance, not only to Teruto, but also pretty much everybody else, because she was king and herself, right?
Right.
Because when it was revealed that Teruto remembered that Kikka was, his sister, Teruto, of course, was shook from it, right? But I mean, I think Hiyori and Sakura were also shook, though. It was like it was like an evil god descended. It just caused a huge catastrophe.
Yeah,
just like that.
When she like got her other half going, like she started like transforming and like this is my final form and crap.
Yeah, I will say towards season 1, she was amazing. I loved pretty much every screen time she had.
Yeah,
even though she was the villain. Man, I could not.
you couldn't hate this girl.
I was cheering for Teruto, but at the same time, I was like, Kikka's kind of.
This was the most ironic crap too, because like you and I, right? We're hella bros, but when it came down to this fight, right? Like this fight in particular, it felt like we were kind of on opposite sides, because it's just like your favorite and my favorite. I'm like, man, I'm sorry, bro. I really have to root for Teruto. I'm sorry, but it's like, hey, man, I get you, but Kikka though, yeah, okay, can I just say, season 1, like Kikka probably is above Teruto for like also just the fact that every one of her fights, dude, it's so amazing, because at first like it's like, oh, I gotta go beat the king, and we don't really see much of the king at all, so it's like, oh, okay, whatever. Like Teruto is such a badass, he'll just go through the standard shonen protagonist type thing of, oh, I'll get more powerful and I'll beat the guy. But she pops in, right? She's like the end game boss, and she pops in Teruto like right after when he's like in like a level 20 like training field, right? And she's like, no, I'm fighting you right now. And this is like a situation the boss has like no health.
With bread.
Yeah, and freaking literally learned him with bread, bro.
Knowing it was also a great aspect of knowing that she understands Teruto down to a T.
And she learned him with like something she knew he loved, and like even went on to like quote like her parents saying, don't follow strangers who offer you snacks, and she then just says, even though that's what I did to lure you here.
And then it was also like creepy but also funny at the same time, as she quotes Teruto in every move he does.
Yeah,
because she knows what he's gonna do.
Like, oh yes,
and
let me tell you how Casino of Doom works.
Yeah. I was like, damn, she's got you on the palm of her hand, bro. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, what are you gonna do, right? Like, and there's this one like shot, right? In that particular fight, where Teruto, like his last damage, right, is Cursed Trump card. Yes, lovely.
Yes.
Yeah, truly an accurate, like, yeah, truly accurate. And Yeah, like she cancels it, and it's just like this scene where like you have the little like Reaper things all like rising from darkness. He's the underdog. He's like this despicable little thing, and Mark Rhea just like passes like judgment, dude, just slashes him to pieces, bro. Just like swing. I'm like, there's such a good symbolism, and even when they're like having the rematch,
That was nice.
she's like way above, like she's way higher than like he is, and there's always like that like sense of arrogance and greater now. And like, bro, when she's like winning fights against like Teruto and Sakura, I'm like, bro, respect the king. Like the king is real news. The king is not just some
not
like
one
obstacle.
for arrogance, but when you have the skill to back it up, I think that's quite a different matter.
Yeah, like that. Then it's actually kind of a good look on you. Like there's this like just like to use like Yu-Gi-Oh as an example, right? Like for anyone who's watched Arc 5, which yes, admittedly was not the best Yu-Gi-Oh series. I'll admit its ending is really whack. There's a character named Yuri, right? And Yuri is psychotic, like just straight up. Like Yuri actually is very similar to what you would expect like Kikka to be, except whereas Kikka's fixation is Teruto, Yuri's fixation is just on being the best, like beating everyone to the point where he's sort of like genocidal about it. But he has the skills to back it up, right? Like he just does. And one of the interesting things, like parallels between those two characters, is that when they finally lose, they just like have a smile on their face because there's like this sense of relief about not having to be the best anymore. Like, because you can tell it's like kind of torture to always have to put yourself on the line for it, you know? So
Yeah.
And this segues perfectly into her second season where Kikka just she also won 80s. Like she won 80s like her like best friend, girlfriend, whatever.
She 180s and goes down, bro.
Like, don't get me wrong. First half of season like 2 was actually
First half of the
different.
season was reasonable. It was like kind of, humane. It made sense. It was reasonable, right? But the way that she tried to grow, the direction was kind of really iffy. It wasn't the greatest direction.
Yeah, like okay, let's just like kind of break this down, right? Let's break down her character because this is going to be what probably like sends her down a peg. But when you just observe her character, right? Like of course she's like really big on Teruto, and she's like, hey, I want to like play with you and be with you and like have that relationship. It's like, okay, cool. Like we understand why she wants to play with like him forever and do all that stuff. Now she has her final climactic battle with Teruto, and things don't go well because plot, and she now has this like thing where she's running away, right? She has no deck, she has no confidence, she's the exact opposite of her other self. She is basically a broken person. Now you got Hiyoko here, which is just straight fire, like her freaking deck, and just reaches out to Kikka and like imbues her with like essentially the will to live, like if we're just being straight up about it. Now this is cool and all, right? She gets her Itis deck, she goes and beats somebody, and
yeah. The only time where like I remember that I started liking that she was starting to pick back up was when she first dueled a certain somebody, which we'll get to eventually. But it was a little small glimpse of her getting her confidence back, and you can hear like the king, the former king, still inside her.
Right.
This even though she was broken, that doesn't mean that her skills as a build divide player was completely diminished.
Yeah,
she was king for a reason.
and they made it like well known. Like Hyoko's like, man, I really want to like fight Kikka, bro, because she's just that good. Like watch Lady Kikka battles, and then Kikka at the end, like she was low-key a savage. Like, thank you for the game, miss, and then like annihilates her. So like clearly she's going somewhere, and then they have like the tag battle, which is also really good. Like really good character stuff. Not really so much of a focus on her, but like the focus on their relationship as a couple. But then this is where it goes downhill, right? This is the fall, the tragedy. So we're pretty certain that Kikka's motivation as a character is the same as Hiyoko, which is to save Teruto, right? And also a subplot which is to act in a way that would be redeemable to Sakura. And she only achieves kind of one of these things. Her final fight is against a clone of herself, and this is really stupid. Because I mean, you got words, but go on.
Past.
Yeah.
And it might be obvious. Kind of prefer her past self.
Also may or may not prefer Margaret.
Yeah.
The
She-
leopard again. Oh God.
She manages to beat her past self, but at the same time, afterwards, it was like they wanted that to be the conclusion.
Yeah, like why
She
is
overcame
she not...
her past self. Congratulations, but you still had a huge list of other things you needed to do.
Yeah, like seriously, she does that, and then like you would think, okay, so what final battle is she gonna be part of? Like, so like Hyoko like goes and like fights like King Teruto, right? And it's like, okay, cool, like that's a fine match. Like there's still Higuma, so like, okay, like Kikka's gonna fight Higuma, maybe like Kikka and I don't know Teruto will tag team to fight Higuma, something like that. But no, she's just an observer. She just watches, dude. She doesn't even watch the entire game. She's like knocked out for a part of it, and then she wakes up and Sakura, who just like miraculously comes from the dead because plot, just pops up. He's like, oh, I forgive you, you're cool, I'm cool with you.
Yeah, it's
yay.
like, what? What? So this whole like psychological trauma, you just easily forgive her after she obliterated your whole existence. Oh my god.
You just come back and it's like, yeah, I did hate you, but you know what, not anymore. I'm like, okay, whatever.
And then they depart anyway, and it's supposed to be this heartfelt like goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
I unfortunately just didn't feel anything. That was really weak in that moment, and it was unfortunate that it came to be like that, because it could have gone a better direction in my opinion. I was expecting a whole like another 2v2, because we only had one 2v2 fight.
Right. Like, why was that suddenly a one-off? Like, I'm glad that they at least brought back assault territories for like season 2 and did them like more than once, because that like was a good spice. But then they didn't spice it up with 2v2s. Like, okay, here's like my idea, right? Like, if they wanted to really like give Kikka her due, they would have had her fight Higuma instead of Teruto, because like seriously, just imagine it, Teruto instead of Kikka, right? So Teruto is knocked out part way, then wakes up and goes and roots for Kikka. And Kikka is the one doing this because not only she... Sorry, go on.
Oh, sorry, no.
Yeah,
you go.
Alright, so like, because not only does she like lack her final climactic battle, but when you think about it, her and Teruto have been basically just as milked when it comes to like Higuma's scheme. Like, they're both like super uber victims of this crap. And so when you also just examine Kikka's character, she's trying to honor Sakura and also rescue Teruto. In order to do both of these things, you got to take out Higuma, because he's kind of the source of all this evil, to be frank. But she doesn't do that, and she should have done that. Like, this would have been a perfect opportunity to show her second territory. It would have been a really nice fight. You would have had everyone there on the sidelines being like gambare anyway, and it would have been the same thing, except it would have been so much more thematically consistent than Teruto just having to be the GOAT again,
Yeah, I think it should have concluded with Kikka doing the final fight in that sense, because this season 2 was a focus on Hiyori and Kikka. We could see, even in the opening and the ending, that those two were always together.
Right. Like,
they started growing into a friendly relationship, even though they had, some differences in the beginning. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It wasn't in the best of terms at first, but as they grew together, they formed a relationship of, being friends. And I think that was great, because it was sort of an acceptance for Kikka, because she felt guilty of everything, even though some things weren't technically her fault.
Yeah, but some things.
It was a start in her growth. It's just unfortunate of how it ended. And even though, despite all what happened, she was still technically the goal for Teruto, but it still should have not ended with Teruto doing the final fight. If it had been with Kikka and Teruto cheering her on, or at least, we could do the legal coaching.
Yes.
Then, I think it would have had more of an impact for the show entirely. Because Teruto himself was more of like the embodiment of their goal, to push them to do things that they normally wouldn't do, right? Just how how Teruto pushed himself to go save Kikka, despite having won Build Divide once, right?
Yep,
He
yep.
got out of that world, but the moment he learned that the king or the energy source for Build Divide is primarily Kikka, he went back in, despite knowing the consequences of like getting amnesia, you know, pretty much losing a lot of things. Even though he already won, basically, it's like starting a new game, but
Right.
without having bonuses because you completed the game already.
It's not New Game Plus. It's just a new game.
Yeah, you just start a whole new game because you wanted to acquire or, you know, save your loved one, your family, right?
Like, imagine like this game, right? You have like all these like choices, and it's sort of like some Until Dawn type thing. And you have to, your goal is to save all these characters. You want like everything to be like good. And then right at the very end, the very last choice, you fail to save one character. It's like, God damn it. Okay, I'll go back. But then it's like, wait, this game doesn't have a save feature. You just have to do it all over again from scratch, baby.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, it's really like sucky for him, and it just makes it like all the more good that like he's like an awesome character. But Kikka, like, okay, so here's the thing, like, if we're trying to rank Kikka, her season 2 was not so great, but her season 1 was so immaculate, and it's weird because that's essentially the inverse of what like Hiyoko was at, because her season 1 was so dumb, but then her season 2 was like amazing. So do we weigh in more on the positives or the negatives?
I think she was still relevant throughout the entire show, despite the unfortunate end. But I think she deserves being in more of the really good category. Just because the cons of what happened before the end of her wasn't the greatest.
Right.
Like, it
right.
doesn't leave a good taste in your mouth, bro.
Yeah, I guess that's
it
why
feels
like
like she
Sakura's
got
down
done
here.
wrong. Basically.
Yeah, you know, like, cause Sakura's down here for kind of that same reason. Like, if we just included like Sakura's strengths, she probably would have been really good. But no, we have to acknowledge all the shenanigans.
The entire show. Overall, though, I think Kikka's hot. But you know what? Let's put that aside.
Yo,
I was putting my preferences aside, and that's hard to do.
She's hot. She's smoking. So all right. Moving on to a man who clearly thinks that he's hot and intelligent and the superior one in the relationship. Yeah, who's this guy? So I had to do some research. I had to go into the deep web to figure out who this guy was again. So don't act shocked when you hear this, because trust me, you won't. Dairo Kaisen is his name, or Keisan.
Whoa.
Yeah, random ass.
I don't remember hearing that.
Amazing, right? Maybe you have amnesia too.
All I remember is the card professor and then him getting his butt kicked by Teruto.
Yeah, like Teruto being like, yeah, man, like, cool, okay, you're gonna bash on my
He was a
gambling
stepping
playstyle.
stone for Teruto. That's all I remember.
Yeah, like literally, like Rebecca, the goddamn ace, is a better character.
His cards
than
were
him.
more memorable than him.
Everything.
That is unfortunate, but at the same time, it was great.
Yeah, like, it's so bad with Keisan or whatever this guy. I was just call him Card Professor because clearly it looks like it. Like that. If you look at this picture right here, fellas, you can see some like text right here. That's because there actually wasn't a picture of him on the internet. I had to screenshot it on my goddamn phone and like, you know, put it in. And you might be saying, well, what about like the wiki, right? Wouldn't the wiki have a pic? He doesn't have a page on the wiki. It's that bad. No one knows and no one cares about him. So honestly,
despite him showing and reappearing in season 2,
he did reappear technically. Yeah, it's like, oh yes, he's got like jujutsu.
I don't
like,
understand how he was still able to just walk around and just observe normally and not get like shunned because of he literally got exposed.
Yeah, he was such like an asshole. Like this dude like literally made smelling his own farts a living. And it was just so dumb. Like he
used people as tools and he was researching people as subjects of, you know, material.
Yeah, and like his deck reflected it too, because he's playing the most like lame meta dog type of deck where it's like, oh yes, I'm just gonna draw like infinite consistency and then burn you without having to battle. Really? That's your game plan, dude? That's so lame. That's so stupid.
He was like laughing on his high horse because he was like, yes, I can keep drawing and you'll just slowly die.
That's literally his game. Like, if that's just not like literally, I just already said it, but like that's just such a meta dog like concept. And like, okay, of course, I guess like, oh yes, I'm so intelligent. Lifts glasses, right? The only thing, only thing, and it's not gonna save him from me asking who again, but you made this like as like a note before we did this video, but he does actually kind of like make a, actually no, you explain it because you're the one who made the observation.
So, despite him being a forgettable character, I think it was a great choice for at least bringing up a scientist or researcher type character to be involved throughout this entire series. Because of what happened with Sakura, or at least information we received of, knowing who Sakura is, we discovered throughout the series that she's not human. And they make that pretty evident as you witness some scenes where she's by herself, or when she interacts with certain characters and she gets really cautious of her own body. That is because her body is not human at all. She is not human. She was born from, I guess you could say, a part of Kikka. But this was because of the influence of the power of Ishinome. It sounds really whack if you put it out of context.
Yeah, it's a like really like weird like outerversal type plot, but like it's still like cool that like they at least have an intellectual examine the matter, and he's like, no, that's just actually like really interesting. Why don't we like look into this more? But he's just so bland and gets one-offed.
So basically, the main thing that I did like that they did was when he discovered that Sakura wasn't human, naturally. Most people who are curious tend to ask questions, right? Because they don't understand this thing they don't understand, and for them to want to know, to understand, they ask questions. Unfortunately, this card professor doesn't just ask questions. He straight up kidnaps Sakura, begins trying to experiment on her just because he was curious of like who she was, what her body is, and what he can do with her body.
Yeah, like this is like another moment where the genre should have included like psychological horror. Unless you're into that crap, then like go off sicko. But freaking
it was definitely a pretty dark concept. Not the darkest. I've seen more than that, but basically it was unexpected for a card game anime.
I'm pretty sure he was actually like willing to like kill her because he had like all those other subjects that were like draining away and like dying. Like he might have actually killed her.
He had like what looked like also a small room filled with past patients.
Wicked,
and
dude.
that was kind of eerie because that means this wasn't the first time.
And it wasn't gonna be the last time.
This has been happening for quite a while in their entire, even while they were first introducing the show, he was still experimenting on people. So, yeah.
I like how like Naomitsu rolls up on Teruto saying, "Are you working with those like university guys?" And it's like, bro, hey, dude, don't like.
As weird as it may sound, he was definitely human.
Well, yeah, if you mean human to say extremely flawed.
No, more so like the human nature of being curious, but also being kind of psychotic of the fact that he wanted to research on Sakura because he was curious, but also what he can do with it.
Oh, well,
right?
like,
and
yeah, the pursuit of power and like what we'll do
to power, and also just how scientists are sometimes. I'm not saying that every scientist is like this. I'm just saying there are some like this. There have been. There's a reason why there is a forbidden taboo of experimenting on people.
yeah, good point. Because folk will do it.
It's because people have done it. So this entirely like his character is pretty human, and it is disgusting because there are people like this. But it does make sense that this type of scientist would be interested in Sakura's body, not in the the erotic sense, but more just because her body is mysterious and otherworldly.
Yeah, very good. So and yet
But
for
and
all
again,
that, who
he's
is he?
beat up.
Yeah.
We don't care anymore.
Like just like some grunt level dude who just get like buster sacked by Teruto.
Yeah, he sends his minions, which don't really do much.
They just serve as like basically ways to get chips for Teruto. Like he just like takes out like a bunch of fodder.
He's literally supplying Teruto with chips.
And then like okay, here's the thing. I'm gonna like bring this up because we're gonna have this like situation happen with Mikhail over here, but he also like he those two are actually like the only two we've seen actually do what Teruto does, and in response bet all their chips. But whereas Mikhail doing it is awesome, him doing it is because he's like,
you can tell he's a good guy.
Yeah, he's great, and like he's willing to sack up, but like we'll get to him in a second, right? But like with like K-Sun, the only reason this dude does this is because he's so like arrogant and confident he'll win. He's like, oh, there is no risk.
I've researched all your abilities.
I have all the data. The data
I have
states.
all the data. Unfortunately for you, main character plays like nobody would ever expect besides her own sister. Or his own sister.
His own sister. Like, yeah, so you know what? Get wrecked, bro. Just man.
Like, you would have to be with him for like years to understand how Teruto plays, and that's betting everything.
Like you should have put your soul on the line.
Unpredictable.
Should have played the other territory. Maybe that would have worked out better for him because it's more sacky.
You need the trials, the tower trials.
Bruh, no, like the other Rebecca territory. It's like, oh yeah, reveal
Oh.
busters. Yeah, like it's more sacky. So who knows? Maybe if he had like been grown up, and maybe it done something. But anyway, like, why are we gonna waste more time on this dude, right? So the idol.
Idol.
Is it good or meh?
I usually like the idol aesthetic, just as my own preference. But we're not here to talk about my preferences. So her as a character, I would say meh. She's pretty forgetful. I think the only reason you would like her is because she kind of influenced Sakura's character as well. Mainly because of that, beach episode duel. But that was it, to be honest. She herself is kind of really whatever. She didn't have any dramatic changes besides season 2 where she gets like an army. What's great is that she was still a, like an aid to the main protagonist. She wasn't an enemy. So that was good. Aside from that, I guess, she didn't really contribute much to the story besides allowing the main characters of season 2 to fight against Mikhail, because they didn't have to worry about all the 47 friends he had.
Right, yeah. She has.
They
like,
can just focus on their own duel.
There's this weird like Frankenstein of like it's like they make it like the Fourth Reich, but also like pop idol stuff. I don't get her character like that way.
I understand some of the idol industry and also how the community is, because I'm pretty involved in some of that. But that was just basically the stereotypical like J-pop idol getting followers, and then her being a bit at first being really bratty, in my opinion. I do understand like why though, because they did at least explain her reasons and her motives, so that at least was good. And she reappeared in season 2. But overall, she's kind of whatever.
Yeah.
It's not really that big of a impact. The only impact she had was really on Sakura. And I guess Kikka.
I guess whatever. Gave her a little confidence boost, but led to like F all because she didn't have a great battle at the end. But
she's really whatever.
Yeah, only thing I'll say before we move on is that I do like her 2 aces with Argulis and like whatever, like that umbral like horror eldritch thing. Like she has cool aces.
Here's the funny thing. If anybody has ever seen the Shadowrun anime, the other like So, I think you know some of the classes, which so there's Shadow Crowd, right? Which
Right,
is like
right.
the undead, necromancy,
Vampires, things like
ghost.
that.
Yeah. Well, vampires is another
Blood.
one. That's not Shadow. Yeah.
That's like blood, right?
Shadow is like zombies. Yeah. Blood is the one with vampires. So the funny thing is, in the first Shadow Representative, the character that was representing Shadowcraft is also a J-pop idol, or at least an idol in general. And they did the same exact thing.
Yeah, just like,
It was
oh,
literally
idols are
like,
supposed to be happy, but she's playing this dark,
yeah.
spooky deck.
So on like television or like any news broadcast or whatever, when she's on public, right? She's that cheery, happy idol that is cute and influences the crowd, sings, makes everybody happy. But then, away from that, they have this, very different personality. And in some cases, it's maybe a charm, but in other cases, it's also, just more of a, I guess you could say, a turn off. But it makes it apparent that they're not entirely just, it's this one flat 2D character that you know straight away. But I guess you could also say the same if you're already used to this type of character, then it's kind of whatever.
Yeah,
and in my case,
man.
I'm already used to it. So she's not really that big as a character.
Right.
So it's we can move on.
So Mikhail, this might be me being like a little bit biased because this is like more like one of the characters I really like. I think I might want to put him like the bottom really good.
I think he's in the bottom really good. Just because, actually, no, I would say high good. Never mind.
High good? You would say high good? Like, okay, you know what? I think it's fair. It's
the
fair
reason
to
why
put
I
him there.
say high good is because he, of course, when he reappeared for season 2, but he also had somewhat of a pivotal moment for season 1 because he was the one that provided 20 chips, and that was a huge amount. So that means that we know this guy is good.
Yeah, this guy is like sacking up, and like not only does he like provide 20 trips, he's like, yeah, I'm all in with you, bro. And not because he's arrogant, because he's like, you know what, I'm confident in my skills
as a man.
Yeah,
but like, also because he wanted Hyoko's pants.
Yeah, like he just wanted like get in her pants or something. I don't know, freaking maybe not. He's kind of young, so maybe he's not thinking that. But like,
basically, he wanted strength, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's all we knew from season 1. He was a good fighter. He wanted Hyoko's hand, but he respected the duel, and he also bet all in. He himself had a very interesting duel with his ace as well. But when we got to season 2, this man kept his word.
47 followers.
Yeah, you can explain why he did that.
Okay, so yeah, okay, Mikhail's kind of like my man. So when he sees like Hiyoko in just this restaurant, right? And it's ironic because Sakura was there with Hiyoko, and she's like, oh, I gotta leave to go set up the next match, which actually ends up being with Mikhail. But Mikhail just walks in and sees Hiyoko, and as anime as it is, he has like a love at first sight thing. Things like, oh,
love
she's
at
the
first
greatest.
sight.
Right? Yeah. Like I think she like dropped something or whatever. I'm not sure, but and like he's like, oh yeah, here it is. But or no, I think he might have dropped something. But
he dropped his like handkerchief.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. And like she's like, oh, he's like, my goddess. But so fast forward to the game itself, and he's like, he like kneels, like he's proposing to her. It's like, I want you to be mine if I win this game. And she like says no, but you could tell like she's somewhere like in her weird, like not really soon today, but kind of like just.
I think she was more like flattered of the fact that somebody actually likes her.
Yeah, and like it's because it's so like direct. Like this man like is The thing I like about his character is like you can like very clearly tell that his concept is consistent because he's all about power. He's wearing like the red drip. He's got the tie. You know, he's walking like when he's walking up the Teruto, he's walking up with strength, homie. And he just
got
like
confidence.
yeah, and he just like makes this power move at Hiyoko, like just kneels and goes for it, dude. And so and then like later on, right? The thing that like Hiyoko says is like it's more like an offhanded excuse. She's like, no, I like men with lots of friends. So when you get like 47 of them, and so like in season 2, he has 47 followers, and he's like, hey, you like that kind of thing, right? And man, the checkmate on that was so freaking funny. But yeah, and like just aside from that, his situation's a little bit interesting because in season 2 we understand now like what he wants strength for, which is to beat this girl right here, which we'll get into at the end. But the thing about it is it's kind of cool, but at the same time it's a little bit sad because he never does it. Even in the epilogue, he's still coming over to her place every day to try and do it. So it's like very obvious that he just can't do it. And I don't know why, because I like him better than her. I think he should win, but like he just doesn't. So
I think he was interesting as a character.
Right.
At the same time, it's like
he's not approaching these. Like that's the thing.
Yeah,
he's not like he's
I don't
not these
think
guys.
I compare him to the really good, because the really good is definitely a section for more of the complex characters that had a backing, in my opinion. Like he had his backstory, but it didn't have the same impact as, you know, the cast we see above.
Yeah, I mean, like, these guys have been around for a good while, whereas this dude has, like, 2 episodes to his name, basically.
Yeah, he basically did only have 2 episodes.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, like, the only reason he's not been good is because at least, like, as a character, he's, like, consistently, like, pretty good for what he is, like, unlike Sakura. But yeah, he just, I agree. I was kind of capping it, putting him really good. I'm biased because I really like his deck and I like his concept. Just, like, the very straight up, I'm here to be strong, and it's refreshing, right? Because there's not, like, some big tragedies. You're like, no, I'm just here because I'm in it, bro. I'm like, in it to be the man.
He has a goal, and it's to beat a certain someone, because he wants to redeem his family. That was his past.
Like,
and we'll get to that. We'll get to the person who we talked about.
Right. And I just want to like quickly give a little bit of rep to Mikhail by saying like if Build Divide were to have had like your more standard like card game protagonist, it would have been Mikhail. Like he's built up more that way, you know? He's got the straightforward goal, you know, along the lines of I want to be ninja president or king of the pirates, like, you know, Kaisago Oni. But you know, he just wants like I want to beat this person. It's basically the Sasuke Uchiha plot when you think about it, because he's like I want to go kill Itachi. It's the same thing here. I want to go beat Reira. Yeah, he's still like really good here. Also, his fights are amazing. I really like how he gets all these big units. Like it's very like his deck is very distinctive.
I get it. Sucking him off.
I know. Hey, look. If we want to have a little like love sesh, you know, with Kikka or whatever, I want to like give rep to like one of my favorites, right?
Understandable. It's all good.
So, all right. Just Kuge, right? They're just named Kuge. My kind of criteria for who would even make it on this list is you need to have had like a name and you need to have played a game. So that means that like all of like Hyoko's friends from season 2 don't qualify because they don't like really have like on-screen matches. They just like whip out like command cards and start firing like Dragon Ball Z like key blasts or crap.
That was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah,
they literally just use the cards to activate their command effects and
like,
just blast.
Yeah, there's like, oh yeah, like one guy just like summons a freaking like missile, or I think it's like the freaking like capital breaker.
Capital breaker.
Capital breaker, yeah. Yeah, like that's all they do. So they don't qualify, and then like on like the other end, I was considering not putting in the Kuge because like they don't really have a distinct name, but they do have games. But I decided I'll just put them collectively because they are like kind of like one force when you think about it, even though they use different decks. But I still like. Okay, here's the thing. I think who again because they have like 0 personality. Like they have like
Yeah.
nothing going for them. Like this blush you see right here is the most personality you see out of the both of them. Well, that and the other guy
He
like
was definitely
pronouncing.
sadistic and arrogant.
Right, yeah, the other guy is also arrogant, but I do like how he pronounces Nerfexi's like completely wrong. Like it made me think, oh man, some people just try. He just goes Nerfexi's. I'm like, what? What is that name? Like I probably like was like a little like clip or something. But like it's just funny as frick how like their voices and like they're still supposed to be like more of like a feudal like traditional Japan like garb and whatnot. And
Yep.
it really their
The
aces
only
are
thing
cooler than
you would
them.
probably remember out of her is two things. One, her ace. The
Hell
second one, Booba. That's it.
Booba, yeah, and as for the guy, the two things I remember from him is his ace and effects. He's not his territory. His territory sucked. But
The big golem.
just I'm like literally I'm like this is like a rock
A
sculpture
rock.
that moves. That's it. It's a rock. Like bro, Patrick Star is more interesting. like what the frick? So yeah, like that like dude. Nerfexi's is cool though, and also his voice is just really like if you could find it funny, it's hilarious. But yeah, like
Yep.
really just who again? They have good games. They're really more just like introductory fodder for like Yoko and Kikka respectively, and that's about the end of it. So final one. Reira. Now, this one I have a hard time judging because she has a really good game, and I actually do like a fair bit about like her character design and all that, but she just pops out of like nowhere, dude.
She appears mysterious and only, we can't really guess who she was because she's related to Rinpu, who didn't really have that much screen time either, and the mystery didn't really change much because literally, if she had shown up without it, like without the cloth wrapping of her face, we still wouldn't know who she is.
She
it
will
didn't
just
matter.
be like some like rando.
Yeah, it literally didn't matter. At least she was a friendly.
Like, the only difference it made, the only singular difference it made was that Rinpu didn't just like call out who she was immediately. That's it.
Yeah, that's literally it. And it didn't have that much of an effect besides her saying, yeah, I also have some beef with Higuma. And it's like, literally, she's just a little, like, icing on the top of, like, yeah, Higuma's a bad dude. We need to, sock him.
Yeah. We need to like go.
That was
him
literally it. She's just an extra added on. Just to make, the characters have more of a reasoning to kick his butt.
Yeah. Yeah, like seriously, and she never really has like any relevance before for the most part. Like she has like people have motivations about her, that's it. And she doesn't have any relevance after. Like she gets like decimated by Higuma using like Nerfexi's again, which is a great ace with a territory that is actually great this time. That is actually interesting to look at, albeit it hurts my ears every time I like watch it. But freaking yeah, that screech attack mode, it's hard on the
Yes, the true ASMR experience.
Yeah, I hate it, bro. I hate it here. But yeah, like here's like Rinpu actually does have like a kind of a good fight with Higuma, and I do like her voice actress is really good. Her
Wait,
character.
did you just call her Rinpu?
Sorry, not Rinpu. Oh my god, guys, Reira. They're freaking like sisters and blue hair. They're both like not that relevant.
She is, I would say, more of the low end of good.
Yeah,
she is very close to meh, but she is good because she did put up a fight, and she had her reasoning of like not being involved in season 1 relatively makes sense.
Right. And
Because
there is
he
motivation.
did find out the truth, and she was trying to be like kind of another underdog because nobody knew who she was. But had she had done something more impactful, she probably would have had like more of an impact of the story overall. But she did, however, provide information and save or help Kikka and Hiyoko. So I guess she does have more of an influence over like Rinpu and the idol. I even forgot the idol's name already.
Yeah, I don't even know her I forget it too. Pearmi, I think it was. Man,
Oh yeah,
I really had to like just go and reach into the depths of my brain to pull that one out.
she's yeah, they're meh.
Yeah, they're bad. She's a little bit better too, because like, I mean, this may be a little bit. Well, okay, just
If you like the older sister, strong-willed type, there you go.
and speaking of like older sister type, I really like. To me, I always just imagined her ace was like Iris but cooler. I really like Carmelia.
Oh right. I just remembered who her ace was.
Yeah, her ace is so good. But like, but her.
We're not
like,
here to talk about her ace, though. We're here to talk about her as a character.
Yeah, because if we're talking about aces, this list right here would be completely different. This list would have like Higuma and S tier, Yoko and like here, and like it'd just be like red. Yes, Higuma would be an S tier because they're
a lot of things would change here.
Yeah.
In fact, some characters wouldn't even be on here.
Yeah, Ishinome would be like, who again? He has no ace.
He himself is the ace, bro.
Oh, Leopardus, bro? Nah, yeah, I don't even want to
I
hear
actually,
that name.
you know what? It would have been interesting to see Ishinome play a build divide.
What would Ishinome have even played? I mean, we're basically done with this list here, but I guess just like a quick like question, like what would have been his ace?
I don't know.
Like,
He found more amusement just watching humans go at each other for like either the most stupidest reasons or you know just to witness kids have psychological trauma for some reason that's
inflicted onto them.
That's amusement to him.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's all entertaining, right? You know, like apparently that's like what I mean, just look at this face right here. You know that this says everything you need to know about the character. But like, freaking, I mean, I guess if I just had like take a quick crack at it, I would just say like Petratos, that one like red unit that like shifts back and forth. Like, I don't know why. Mainly it's just because I want to see Petratos used. And it felt like he really should have been in the anime, but he like wasn't for whatever freaking reason. But that's just like bias. For all we know, it could have been El Doradas, that one like little like bride looking night girl.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It did feel kind of awfully weird that she got quite a bit of screen time.
El Doradas, yeah. Actually, looking
Could
at
have been a scrapped idea.
Maybe, yeah. Actually, as it turns out, her like effect came out recently, and you know, this is going to be like a subject where like between the two of us, right? But her effect like labels like both of them as territory effects, but she doesn't actually need a specific territory. She's actually like a generic ace.
I see.
Yeah, so that's why she pops up, is because she's actually designed for the Diophilia deck that way. She doesn't have a territory, which is a first. So that's pretty wicked, and I guess it makes sense because she's only a 3 cost. Like imagine like a 3 cost ace with 3 cost. Huh. You have your territory on turn 1, and no thank you. No thank you. Yeah, I don't want to hear it. So anyway, that's the tier list, guys. A lot of like discussion. This turned more into like a tier list / like just anime like discussion, but really good content here, I hope. Yes.
I mean, it would have been hard to rank them if we didn't talk about that.
Yeah, freaking we had to like bring up a lot of stuff, but I mean it's super enjoyable. So for those of you who haven't watched it and yet are all the way here, clearly you don't care about spoilers, but I'm still going to make an exercise in futility and recommend watching this anime if you haven't already.
At least check out the openings.
Yes, it's a great.
Those are bangers.
It's amazing, and the TCG is pretty good too.
Yeah, TCG is also fun. We play occasionally sometimes with Godsman over here and a few of our friends.
Yeah, I mean, I may be a Vanguard channel, and this man, like, basically the connoisseur of, like, Shadowverse. But, you know, this is one of those TCGs where we're like, hey, F it, let's just, like, shoot the bull and, like, do some games here, right? It's pretty fun. So, yeah, that just wanted to wrap this up a bit. Next video, definitely going to be a Vanguard video, though. Don't worry, I'm not going to screw up my algorithm. I just did this because it's the joys of the content creator to, like,
he's definitely going to start talking about Wii Cross next.
Wii Cross! Oh, yeah, let's go. Let's talk about the Bakugan TCG. Oh, yeah. That's good. That has such an insurmountable growth.
Check this out. Chaotic!
Chaotic! So yeah,
man, now that's nostalgia right there.
Wow, dude. Yeah, you see, the only time I've remembered playing Chaotic in the past few years was looking at Lionel, remembering there was a Chaotic dude that was like a lion guy too.
The only memory I have of Chaotic was some scene of the anime where this dude just like confidently said with a straight face, "Chaotic," and then he transformed into a furry.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, what am I watching?
He's like, oh yeah, it's like Artex, and like that sounds like a cool name, and that's like this little squirrel thing, and it almost beats like the main character's Max. I'm like, what?
I don't remember anymore.
Yeah,
But yeah,
memories.
I just saw it as a funny meme.
Yeah, it's just be funny as frick.
It probably says a lot that I don't see it anymore, or at least as often.
Oh, it's dead. Oh, it's
Oh.
dead in the water, bro.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, it's non-existent. You kidding me? That's why I'm laughing so hard. It's not a thing. we're oh man, dude, it's bad, but I wish it was a thing, but hey, alas, not everything can like prevent itself from turning to dust. But hopefully this stays around for a while, right?
Yep. I mean, if not, I'll just be going back to Y Shorts and Shadowverse.
Yep, the staples, bro. The absolute
truly staple card games that I play.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thanks for coming on, Hiseki. Glad to have you here on the video. Freaking, maybe
Thank you for having me.
Of course, bro. Freaking, maybe we'll like have more like collabs in the future about something. I don't know what the frick it's gonna be, but like freaking love having you on board.
Indeed. Don't worry, bro. Anytime.
Anywhere. All right, well, that's going to do it for today's fellas. If you did enjoy this content and you want to see more, then, well, I'm not sure how much more buildable content, but just on my content, then do hit the notification bell and subscribe down below. And with that, take care and God bless.